Neopian lore, what we got in store. Talking about the things that we love and adore. We're all over 20, right? We say indoors. So play this game. Love this game. Sometimes hate this game. But let's all talk about Neopian lore. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome to episode 8 of Neopian Lore. Are you excited? Yeah, you probably shouldn't be. I guess we'll be talking about Plesio if you find that interesting or whatever. I'm your host, Krista Poyman. I'll try to be as accurate as possible and attempt to pronounce all names correctly if I feel like it, but keep in mind, this world is fictional, and this is all just for fun. Now let's cozy up to some nostalgia, I guess. Officially the most mediocre game in Tyrania, and all of Neopia for that matter, the Wheel of Mediocrity has Neopets all over the land yawning and looking for something else to do. The wheel itself is made of the most ordinary materials and is very boring to look at. Ugsel and Jarb pass by it every day, muttering to themselves, yeah, whatever. And the many contestants that give this wheel of moderate quality a whirl usually fall asleep before it even stops spinning. Step aside the Wheel of Excitement. The best wheel around is definitely the Wheel of Mediocrity. Located in Tyrania, it costs 100 Neopoints per spin. You can spin Mediocrity once every 40 minutes, and prizes include, but are not limited to, being roared at, receiving a Tyranian pet or furniture item, being rained on by fireballs, and up to 4,000 Neopoints and an avatar, featuring the glorious Plesio with the word mediocre beneath him. Compared to the other wheels, this is honestly the one I have the most luck on. I often land on the 500 to 2,000 Neopoint spaces, which is a nice little profit due to the low price point and frequency to spin. Prior to 2010, the wheel had no actual person/Neopet/fairy running it. The wheel stood alone. But in came the Save the Wheels event, where Neopia was asked to donate Neopoints to give all the wheels a makeover. Depending on the amount donated, you would receive a prize, some worth quite a bit, like the Fairy Mazu, Wheel of Excitement stamp, and the Wheel of Excitement background. Once Tyrania's wheel was revealed, a less than excited Plesio was manning it. Not to be mistaken with the Wheel of Excitement, this commonplace wheel is really something you shouldn't waste your time writing home about or begging your owner to take you to, since it isn't very exciting. And the prize is whoop-de-doo! No, not really. God. Even Plesio, the keeper of the Wheel of Mediocrity, has a hard time containing himself. All the excitement is written all over his face. Wow, what a great time he's having! Plesio is a less than enthused Tyranian flotsam. He's blue with jagged teeth and has a horn reminiscent of a narwhal or unicorn. If you've ever played the game Hollow Knight, his personality is similar to the character Zelda. With the amount of sighing he does, I half expect him to go, "Ba panada." But instead, you'll see quotes like, "Hey, you can't spin right now. Come back, whenever, I guess," shrug. And, that prize isn't so bad. Enjoy it, I guess. And you want to know the best part? What font do they use at the wheel? Think about it. Comic Sans. Genius. But Plesio is not just in charge of the wheel. He is also captain of the Sea Division of the Tyranian troops. His claim to fame was fighting the Monoceraptor, a fearsome creature covered in spikes and battle scars who invaded Tyrania during the aptly named Tyranian invasion. The day before the invasion began, the battle dome had some ominous text. "The Monoceraptor will crush your puny Tyrania." Plesio was quick to action, along with the rest of the Tyranian army. Weapons flew, onlookers swooned, blood was shed. With the killing blow of the Monoceraptor, a rasping voice could be heard. "That puny creature of mine has failed, but Neopia has not seen the last of me. I will return. Oh yes, I will return." Poor Monoceraptor. Clearly someone was controlling him, and he sadly took the fall. However, since that epic battle, there's been little action for Captain Plesio. If you head over to the Tyranian Town Hall, you'll see Plesio along with 5 Tyranian elders, where they meet in case of an emergency. Quote, "Ever since the Monoceraptor was defeated, there hasn't been much call for their skills, but I'm sure that something is going to happen one day, smiley face. Oh, TNT, don't tease us about a potential plot. My heart can only take so much." But let's take a moment to look at Plesio's design. At the town hall, on his TCG and the toy modeled after him, his snout is much more pronounced and pointy. After his redesign at the wheel, his snout is fairly rounded. Perhaps it was a mistake by an artist, but I like to see it as a representation of what Plesio has become. He hasn't seen battle in many years, and as you may have noticed, he sounds very unsatisfied with what his life has become. In domestication of real animals, their bodies change. Many species become smaller, tend to have floppier ears, curlier tails, and shorter snouts. While in actual evolution you wouldn't see the changes until future generations, you can allude to an ex-soldier or bodybuilder losing muscle mass due to no longer training. In a way, Plesio no longer has to keep up his battle physique. Plesio is modeled after the extinct marine reptiles, the plesiosaurs. These guys first appeared in the Triassic period and were very prevalent during the Jurassic period. They had small heads compared to the rest of their body, but their teeth were not to be messed with, shaped like simple needle-like cones. The elongated body of the plesiosaur uses the same principle of soaring birds. While long necks can cause a lot of drag at low speeds and during turns, the contrary is true at high speeds traveled in a straight line. Their shape acted like a spear slicing through the water. Long-necked birds function similar in the air or diving in water for prey. The plesiosaur's large flippers allowed for continuous underwater movement over long distances, again, like the soaring birds, especially important during migration. It's a common misconception that plesiosaurs were dinosaurs, when in actuality, they were marine reptiles. Now, I know I referred to plesiosaurs in the past tense, but if you ask some along the Loch Ness, they may say that the plesiosaur very much exists today. Nessie is supposedly one of those marine reptiles. How she happens to manage avoiding cameras with high resolution and only seems to conveniently appear for those without a phone on hand or old technology that is extremely pixelated is pretty impressive. But it's still fun to believe there's a plesiosaur still out there, lurking in the depths of the Loch Ness. When you go to Plesio's Book of Ages page on Jelly Neo, it states, "For some time, he has been trying to convince the council to build a water park," which is an absolutely adorable dream, transitioning from the army to something that can make Tyranian citizens happy. That being said, I've searched item descriptions, Neopedia pages, Neopian Time editorials, all over the Tyrania map, and I can't find information on this being canon. The first notion of him wanting to start a water park that I can find is in the Neopian Times article titled 6th Annual Neopia's Acceptance Speeches by Pikachu 31511. The article starts off, "Hello folks, the 6th Annual Neopies have recently ended and all the voted winners have gotten their Neopies. It's time to go to each one and hear their acceptance speech to see what they think of this honor, what they have to say to those who voted for them, what they plan on doing in the future, and anything else they feel like mentioning." This user used Plesio to quote-unquote accept the award for the category Best Revamps, which went to the Tyranian map. In the article, Plesio stated, "A bunch of trees moved here, a batch of rocks moved there, all sorts of feng shui was going on. I helped with the reconstruction of the lake in the Tyranian jungle, and I must say it's one of my finest works. I'm glad everyone is enjoying the revamp. I'm one step closer to convincing the council to finally building that water park. Serious. It's like before the revamp, you thought the other elders of Town Hall wanted Tyrania to be as boring as a rock. We then see the reappearance of the water park idea on page 2354 of the poetry contest in celebration of Flotsam Day. User Pregnatress wrote in their poem Captain Plesio and the Wheel the following. Those who still go by the wheel may have heard he's been to the council to get in a word. Through all his boredom and lack of spark, Plesio hopes to someday swim in a water park. So I do wonder if this idea stemmed from the Neopian Times article and just kind of morphed into being canon. And that's what I love about Neopets, all the creativity from its user base. Outside of the wheel, you can find Plesio competing in the card game Go, Go, Go during round 2. And there, he is actually donning a smile. I know, a rare thing. His description says, Plesio loved this game as soon as Mincha told him about it. After hours of practice, he has now become pretty good. Which I appreciate that he's pretty good, to kind of follow along the mediocrity of him. I am curious about what goes on in Plesio's head while working at the Wheel of Mediocrity. Whether he's reminiscing of the Tyranian invasion, dreaming of his water park, hoping to get back to Go, 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 or perhaps just maybe he does actually enjoy the mundane. By now you're probably saying to yourself, please, stop it. I cannot take it anymore. All this excitement. Be warned though, something nasty could happen, like that pesky pterodactyl that occasionally swoops down and bites your Neopet on the bum. Don't say we didn't warn you. Or a fireball storm. Nothing mediocre about that. It is also rumored that Bones the Asia may pay your pet a healthy visit. But wouldn't you rather just have 100 Neo points and call it a day? Well, that's all for today's episode of Neopian Lore. All characters and licensing belong to Neopets.com. Music was created by me, Krista. Today's composition is called The Big Sigh. I hope you have a lovely day in Neopia.